Welcome to today's edition of Tuesday's Tips and Talks. My name is Katie Thomaston with Premier Senior Consultants. Today we have with us two guests. So the first is Terri-Misek. She is with Real Estate Solutions for Seniors. And then we have Tina Leger from Settled In by Tina. So these two ladies work really well together. And, one takes care of the real estate side and the other takes care of moving and doing everything. So we invited them both here today because they do work so well together. Yes. So they could explain a little bit about their business, what they do, and then how they work together to make the transition from your home in your house to your new home at an assisted living community. So let's start with you, Terri. So the real estate side of it, tell us a little bit about what you do, how that works, and why you're, special.
Thank you, and thank you for having me today. I have been a real estate agent since 1984.
Okay.
And in 2003, I started selling in this area. It's like we all have a little story. I was a mom, just raising my children at the time, and my friend had a sister who moved into town, and she goes, "Terri, can you help Susie buy a condo?" And I go, "Yeah, well, I guess I can." So I found a broker that I could put my license with, and she helped me develop systems and learning the market and how to take care of the clients and suit them very well. Then, we all have our own personal life and our own personal story.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2012, my son graduated from Lake Brantley High School. And actually, my mom was driving back home up to the Villages, and all of a sudden I get a phone call saying that your mom was in a car accident.
Oh.
And she was taken to Waterman Hospital. And the good news was no broken bones, no internal bleeding, but they saw a small mass on her lung and they biopsied it, and it was stage 1 lung cancer.
Okay.
So we're sitting there going, well, hopefully this accident is a good thing,
Yeah.
even though it was still, an accident.
Mm-hmm.
So I took my mom in for surgery. She wanted to go over to Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa because I grew up in the Tampa Bay area.
Okay.
And the good news was they were able to remove the lower lobe of her lung, no chemo, no radiation, but during her recovery she was having problems breathing.
Okay.
They took my mom up to ICU, and my mom was incubated and on life support and a feeding tube for over 108 days.
Wow.
During that time she had problems with her kidneys and she had to have dialysis. The lung that they operated on deflated, so they had to go in and inflate that. And during the holiday time, this was the hardest part for her. She'd be watching TV and seeing all the commercials with like TV dinners, getting ready for the holidays and for Thanksgiving
meals,
and everything else. And during that time, my mom was not an artist, but they had a wonderful chaplain there who was very incorporated in my mother's recovery. And whenever there was musicians that would come and play, like down in the lobby, he would bring him up to my mom's room. And he had my mom doing arts and crafts, and she did this one picture, and it was like a split medulla. Part of it was the browns and the greens, and that was like the cancer. And the other part was very vibrant, like what Tina's wearing, like the purples and the blues. And that's what she studied on.
Wow.
And she was able to get off of the feeding tube and the ventilator.
Wow.
And unfortunately, she had a cape trachectomy and also a capped feeding tube. So I was very limited where I could bring her after that. But Life Care Center over at Rouse Road had a wonderful speech pathologist at the time, and I was able to bring my mom there. They helped my mom walk again, speak again, get her independently so she could live alone again, and she went back home to the Villages.
Oh, that's great.
But during that time, I met two families where moms and dads had to go into assisted living.
Okay.
So I helped them sell their house.
Okay.
So then I started putting this whole program together on how I can help moms and dads when they need to get a little bit more loving care.
Yeah.
And that's how I started building relationships with companies like yours and with companies like Tina's.
That's a great story.
Wow.
Great
It is.
beginning
It
to your business.
definitely,
Thank you.
it definitely, you put your heart into it because you've been through this process with your own mom and you've seen the difficulties in it, and where things were easier and harder. And I think when you go through that process yourself, it helps you to help others.
Absolutely. Right. And I know that we all have our own story and how we got to work with seniors. But another layer that I have of this, I was actually on the medical roller coaster for 10 years.
Okay.
After I got my mom home, my husband was diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
And 2.5 years later, I lost him.
Wow.
So not only was I walking in a medical world, I also had to learn how to walk in widowhood.
Yes.
And because of that, I really wanted to create a source for people to come to, which would be like a one-stop shop.
Right.
And I know Tina and I have worked really well together. We go on, I take her on listing appointments with me, or I already have it arranged that she can come into the home.
Yeah.
Or we go to visit communities, assisted living communities throughout Central Florida, so we have a good time working together.
We do.
That's really great. So Tina, tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
So Settled In by Tina, in a similar story, very heartfelt. I was working with my cousin, brought her into a community. There were some good, bad, and ugly things that happened, and I realized, it's all in the details. And so we work with families on the details of that transition period. So what do I do? How do I get from my parents' home to a community, to just downsizing, and they want a beach home on the beach house on the ocean? How do we just downsize them? What do we do? How do I get all my stuff in the garage into a box? You know, and sometimes it's overwhelming for people. So we come in with the opportunity to pack, to sort, to organize, to really get them coordinated to move. We bring in movers as well. Then we go ahead and unpack them on the other end. So a lot of what we're doing, even like with Terri, it's holding your hand, making sure that things are really met and detailed out, and then executed well. And by having this there holding your hand, people love that. I mean, we meet so many wonderful families here in Central Florida that just are excited to have us by their side. And we actually act like another sister, like another daughter, like another part of the family, because we banter off of each other, and we really allow the families to take items that they want to take with them, and to move into, whether again it's an independent community, an assisted living community, or it's a smaller home. Just really bring the things that mean something to you, that have value, not monetarily, but from your life.
Well, I think that's one of the things that we all have in common. We all have the same heart for what we do, and that same love and that same passion. So it's not just another client. They become part of your story, and you become part of theirs.
And they become part of our family.
Exactly. It's all about relationships.
I can't tell you how many birthday dinners I'm invited to, or holiday dinners, and people say, "Oh, you're here alone in the city. Please come join us." It's lovely.
It is. You're spending time with them, and it's in a very, difficult times. More often than not, it's a difficult time. But it's very intimate. You build a relationship.
Oh, it's as intimate as me sitting there sometimes with your mom and teaching her how to use the phone. Because the best example I have of this is where one of my moms, my residents, she said, "Tina, my daughter wants me to take a picture of this and send it to her." And she was in New York. And I was like, "Okay, we can do that." She said, "But I don't know how." And so I physically sit there with your mom, and I show her how to use the phone and take the picture and send it to you. Because sometimes there's that generational gap, obviously. And they're used to doing things hands-on. And we obviously have a lot of baby boomers that we work with. I mean, our average client is around 80 years old. So it's somebody where we're not only holding their hand, sometimes we're showing and sharing different things that are going on in the world, whether it's technology, whether it's new foods, nutritional values, things like that. We get into a whole gamut of what we do because we sit there and, like Terri, we hold your hand and work with you and become part of your family. I get the same thing when I'm going to a community. We'll have people be like, "Oh, come and have a glass of wine with me, Tina. Have lunch and sit down." Because they realize how hard we're working with them and for them. But it truly, I feel that within Settled In by Tina, it's making a difference in somebody else's life. And that, to me, is just such a blessing from God that I have that ability to do that and share that with others. So,
And a lot of times too, after I get somebody and they sell their home, because some people don't need to sell their home before they move into a community. So I'm actually working with them a little bit longer, making sure that they are settled in first and that they're comfortable before they want to sell their home. So I build that relationship with them. A lot of times I'll go and take them out for lunch or dinner afterwards just to see how they're doing and that they're still happy and that everything worked out well for them. And because of that, and I built that rapport, they actually referred me to some of their friends that have moved into the community that still need that help.
Yes, I mean, it's that, again, that relationship.
correct.
Because they see that, they're getting more than just a move or more than just help packing.
Exactly.
More than just finding a community. And so, I think we all work this way. I mean, it's that word of mouth. People telling their friends because all three of us have made such an impact in their lives and such a difference that they want to help others the way that we've helped them.
Well, it's so interesting because you kind of said it earlier. We sell from the heart.
Yes.
I know there's people that are working with big companies and they're a little bit more corporate and they have to make numbers behind them and things like that. Well, because I am just me, but I have a great staff behind me that's behind the scenes, I can take my time and actually guide them and just really feel like they're making the move and they're making the decision themselves.
Exactly.
And we work together well, Terri and I, in the sense that, for example, if she's, has a home that's for sale, but let's say it's a little cluttered and we need to declutter it because she's trying to sell it for the client.
Correct.
So we go in and we'll work with Terri on, decluttering it, getting it ready for show, getting it ready for pictures, so that there is an opportunity that she can do even more for the client, really, and bring out more in them. It's a fantastic market here, real estate wise, in Central Florida, but there's so many other aspects to it that Terri brings to the table, and by having the ability to go in, clean it, clear it, make it look great, we can work together well.
And I even add another layer onto that. Sometimes if they're in their home for a long time and they think that their home is mechanically sound, and I'm just going, well, it could be, maybe not, I'll bring in my home inspector. And as a courtesy, I will go ahead and give them a free home inspection. So that way I can go ahead and share a little bit more about the home and the history, and that they also are a little bit more educated about what they're selling as well.
Yes. Definitely. Well, ladies, I have loved having you on here today, and we love to educate the community. So, a lot of people, so many people don't know all the options that are out there to them. So I really appreciate you ladies coming by, sharing what you do, how you work together, and how we help those in the community. So
absolutely.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time on Tuesday's Tips and Talks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.